Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for the crypto market recap. Let's hop into these charts, see what the story is and what it may be. And remember, if you're interested in any of the services I provide, please check the links in the description below for both the Patreon and Discord. Okay, we're going to be going over the dollar. As you can see, we're also going to take a quick look at the stock market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow, and then we'll hop into the crypto market. So I might as well not call this the crypto market recap. I should just call it the market recap at this point, right? So let's take a quick look at the dollars. As we see, dollars coming up to the zone that I have been preaching. Watch out for a potential reversal or at least a bullish consolidation, and we actually get just towards it. We barely got towards it. We just got towards it, kissed the zone of 114.88, so could not breach through it. And so far today we're seeing a nice denial from the zone, and we're likely just going to see a reversal all the way down towards 111 and possibly towards this ascending trend line here that you see right here, which depending how quickly the dollar falls, that could be anywhere from 108 to all the way towards 110. Okay, so we might have a nice prolonged drop in the Dixie for the rest of this week, and maybe even most of next week, depending on how slowly this is going to grind down or and how steep the fall is going to be, which is really good if you want a short-term bullish move in other markets, namely the stock and crypto market. So we have some green ahead of us, it's looking like, but I do want to remind you, this does not mean this is the ultimate top for the dollar. That is actually very unlikely. Okay, we do have to look towards the higher time frames, the monthly, the weekly, and especially the yearly chart, the 12-month chart. Nothing has changed. Okay, this is a key level. All right, but the 12-month chart is extremely bullish. All right, and even though we're likely going to see a nice denial here, a retracement to the next key level being around 111, possibly 110, and possibly even lower towards 107 to 105, it still doesn't change the fact how bullish this chart is. So keep in mind that every pop we're going to have, in the equity markets, in the crypto markets, until something changes policy wise, is going to be short lived. Okay, if the Federal Reserve starts to blink, kind of like we saw the Bank of England do in regards to backing the pound. So if you're not keeping up with the news, the Bank of England blinked, and they are, instead of tightening, they are now easing. So they had gotten scared enough to where they were no longer going to raise rates and really tamper down. Now they're going to provide liquidity for the pound. Okay, it's most likely not going to last that long, but it is a signal that the central banks, especially in Europe, are feeling the pain. All right, so we may see a prolonged move higher in the equity and crypto markets, and potentially an extended move down in the dollar. Okay, but in the end, the pound will go under a dollar. It will lose parity with the dollar. Euro will continue to slide under parity with the dollar. The dollar will rule this decade. All right, that's what the charts are saying. That's what the policies are saying. And until that changes, I have to follow that. Okay. All right. So we went over the levels of what we're looking at the dollar. Now let's take a quick look at the Dow. So Dow pierced the 2022 lows, making new lows, and now we're having a beautiful daily candle here. So the futures are just about to close. I should say aftermarket's just about to close in about 3.5 minutes. And this is a beautiful bullish engulfing candle if it can close like this, which really implies that we could see some more upside going into the rest of this week and possibly early next week. So we could see a meager rise to 30,139, but most likely we'll get all the way up, all the way up, all the way up to 31,500. Okay, that's going to be a key zone to look out for any potential continuation to the downside. But that zone is very likely going to hold as a minor resistance. But if we're going to have an extended move higher, watch for the retracement from here, and then a consolidation, and then a break higher to then try and challenge this descending structure. I am going to say it's very unlikely that this descending structure is broken. Okay, this descending trend line is broken through bullish, unless we get word from the Federal Reserve that there's going to be a policy change of some sort. All right, it's very unlikely that just the technicals are just going to push us through this. It's more likely we'll get towards this zone and then start failing off of it and then continue the larger trend down. All right. Just go back to my recap yesterday and the day before. I explained to you why we're likely going to take out all of this move. All right. I'm not going to go over it again, but just know that as we go through this rise, it's going to be very, very unlikely at right now that we're going to have enough power to break through this, because there's not enough sustainability in the rise, because the largest holder of debt is still selling on the markets, which is the Federal Reserve. It does not matter who's buying. Every bank in the world could be buying the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, and they still would not be able to overwhelm the selling that comes from the Federal Reserve. Until their policies change it, until they slow down or they give any inkling they will, you will have meager rises and then large drops. All right, just keep that in mind. Okay, look for the rises, but do not get greedy. All right, so let's go into the S&P next. So S&P, and what's interesting about the S&P, beautiful double bottom sort of structure right here. Did wick under the 2022 low, so we do have new lows on the year, which is 3600, 3601 essentially. So we did make a new low on the year so far, but I do like this candle. It had a pretty nice doji candle yesterday, which is usually a sign of a short-term bottoming structure, and then we have the confirmation so far, if we close in a minute as we are, which we likely will, of continuation to the upside. And similar to the Dow, we will see a pretty nice move, at least towards these low wicks down here, this low pivot area here, which is about 38, about 3880, and probably an extended move going towards almost 4,000. All right, breaking past 4,000, it's possible, be very difficult, but it is possible for sure. But breaking these high wicks, and especially this one here, is going to be very unlikely. Okay, we could potentially break this high pivot, but breaking this one will be very, very unlikely. If we do break this one, then we may be looking at a whole different environment, at that time. All right, a lot of things may have changed by then. It's very unlikely we see the S&P retake 43.25. All right, and then to the downside, we're just approaching the fair value channel, as I've been saying, and then obviously getting towards the high pivot prior to the COVID lockdown drop. So that's the ultimate target that we're going to likely get to, just like the Dow did. All right, and then now the NASDAQ. Let's see that. So NASDAQ, very similar story, but unlike the S&P, actually did not take out the 2022 lows, right? So did virtually a double bottom, but just missed the lows. So unlike the S&P and the Dow, the NASDAQ still retains the 2022 lows from June, and now it's showing beautiful signs of moving up. Look at the beautiful confluence, held this pivot zone here. So this is a daily pivot level here and a weekly pivot level here, held it, and it also has confluence with my descending channel, the median line, and now we're seeing that bounce up, and we're likely going to get all the way back towards the top of the channel. Okay, and depending on how fast or slow that rises, you're looking at 12,000 to potentially all the way up towards like 12.4. So there's plenty of room to the upside, but again, remember, there's far more room to the downside, and that's what's most probable going to happen. All right, we don't want to trade in fear. We just want to trade on the side of probability. So if we're going long, which we are, if you're in the members group, I've opened some longs here and there, both in crypto and stocks, or I've added on to longs. That I'm looking to play the rise, but understand, I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to take the profits that are given to me. I'm not going to be looking for any extended moves. It's not worth it, especially if we do have that breakdown, that continuation to the downside, the trend. You don't want to get caught and trapped in a trade that way. That's never a good situation. So look for the NASDAQ to at least come back towards the top of the descending channel, and if that's broken through, then look for a revisit of the green zone. All right, so let's hop into crypto world. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin, so Bitcoin continuing to hold the pretty much the 2017 highs, right? It's been wicking under there, but it's holding the general zone, and still I do like what I'm seeing. You're seeing this potential Adam and Eve bottom, right? This potential Adam and Eve short-term bottoming structure, and this is what's actually being built. I'm telling you, look for higher levels, much higher levels than many people are saying. I'll start conservatively, like I mentioned in the last recap, 21,500, very conservative. But then you're likely, if this is the actual structure, that's going to be built, and then confirmed, look for a move at least to 24,000, 24,500, and then eventually a break above this high pivot to grab all this liquidity, getting towards 28,000 and potentially even 30,000. All right, and we can even go higher than that. If the environment in the stock market starts to change, we may get a push back towards, maybe even like 40,000. All right, but that's still, again, I want to reiterate something. That's still bearish, guys. All right, that does not mean we've bottomed out and we're now in a new bull market. It actually just means we're coming back for a retest of a major structure that was lost, which is this ascending structure you see here. So this orange line here is an ultimate macro target for Bitcoin. Okay, so from the all-time high it made at 69,000, it built out this very large ascending wedge, ascending channel structure, however you want to look at it. Coming back to retest it as resistance is common practice. Okay, that is common practice in basic TA, and that you should definitely keep your eye on. Should we actually make it all the way back up to 50K, you can still plummet another 100% down back to 25K easily. Okay, but we're not gonna, we're not there yet. We're not gonna cross that bridge for a while, I'm sure. But I do want to keep everyone's expectations very low. We do have to cross these levels first, and I would say what's most probable, we get towards the 28-30,000 zone, and that's where we will find major resistance and probably the continuation of the trend to the downside. All right, but if we do start breaking up, we'll obviously start mapping out what's potentially going to be happening as we get towards these higher prices. Okay, all right, so going on to Polkadot. So again, very similar to the recap I did yesterday. So I'm not going to go over it too long, but going into a tightening structure, very squeeze-like. All right, pretty much a wedge structure, I would say, but it's still in a tight range. Once this breaks out one way or the other, whether it's going to be to the downside or upside, it will be very, very powerful. The upside target will be at least $10, okay, potentially all the way up to 14 if we're going to go after this high side liquidity here at 9 and change, and then the high side liquidity here at 10 and change. You'll probably see this entire imbalance over here get filled. Okay, so that'll bring us towards $14. If we do break down, then look for the move going towards $4. All right, $4 to $4 to $2, we'll have some major activity, and it probably will hold as a midterm support zone to then come back towards the $6-7 zone. All right, and then if we go lower from there, well, I'll have to see what Bitcoin is forming at that time. All right, so far so good. And again, all the positions we're going over here are long. Again, I always have it marked here. So these are long positions, and then we're going to go over the short position as well. So I always give you if you're a new member or someone who's just finding my videos, I always give every possible direction. I give you what's most probable, from my experiences, how I've actually back tested a lot of these structures. What I find is going to be most likely the outcome of that structure, what's most probable. And I also give you my bias, right? So I'm long all these positions, so my bias is to the upside. But as a successful trader, as someone who wants to also teach how to be a successful trader, you must be able to see both pathways, multiple pathways, and be ready for failure, right? You're trading to protect yourself from failure, and if you do that, the money will start to roll in because you have your risk under control. Okay, so far so good with the position on DOT. We're just kind of stuck in this general structure, this ranging structure. I would say it's more of a bullish consolidation in my opinion, and then we'll see a break at least towards 9 and change, but most likely grabbing this high side liquidity towards 10 and change, 10.50, 10.30, and then we'll see what happens from there. All right, and that's my general target area. Once we get there, I don't care if it pops up to 14, I'll be closing around this zone anyway. And then if it pops up dramatically to the high side, I will start looking for short opportunities, which I will, make sure you're in the Discord, because I'll make sure to notify you like always. All right, so Cardano is next. Very similar to Polkadot, even tighter in another case, because it's holding this, it's holding this whole support zone pretty tightly. It didn't even reach the bottom wick, whereas Polkadot, I believe, actually pierced its low wick not too long ago. So Cardano's been holding even tighter. And again, every time I do this video, this trend line moves every time. Sorry about that. But as you can see, it's the high side. It's it was the short-term uptrend that broke, and then since then it's held quite beautifully. It's held the lows, and that's usually a bullish indication. When you have a bearish structure, there's you consider this like a rising wedge or a rising channel, break in its bias, but then not have the actual one-to-one move and hold a bullish level. That's usually a sign of relative strength, and you will likely see a move at least back towards the bearish structure. So that'll likely be this high pivot at 59.50, but potentially all the way back up to 70 plus cents. So we have some potential here in Cardano. I'm liking what I'm seeing in a lot of these alts. So a lot of these alts though are also being really beaten down by Bitcoin dominance. So we have to keep our eye on that. But once that starts letting up, I think a lot of these alts are going to start bursting higher. All right, so let's start looking at Avalanche. So Avalanche, a lot more similar to Bitcoin, but also similar to Cardano. See how it had that rising structure, breaks bearish, but then barely breaks down, right? Barely breaks down from that rising structure, that bearish rising structure. So that's usually a very good sign, like I mentioned, of a potential change in nature. Okay, so we are likely going to see another attempt to rise higher. If we could start rounding this out, and this is a descending wedge pattern potentially forming here, if we can round this out and start breaking up, then I think what you should be targeting is the bottom trend line here of this rising structure to be the first target, right? And that can be anywhere depending on how fast or slow this price rises, from $30 to all the way up towards like $34, $35. And by then, you're going to have eaten all the liquidity up here, right? So I really like how Avalanche is looking, and I believe this is the free trade. So this is the free trade I put in the Discord. So if you're not familiar, I do a free trade, one free trade for crypto and stocks. I try to do it weekly or bi-weekly, but some trades, they're all swing trades. Some trades can last anywhere from 3 days to a month or so. So I'm not going to give multiple free trades until that free trade ends, essentially. So you may have one trade that I posted, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's still active, it's still relevant, but it just hasn't closed because the trade hasn't progressed far enough to close. So just keep that in mind if you aren't aware. You'll find that on the Discord as well. All right, so let's take a look at Solana. So again, similar to Bitcoin as well, and similar to Avalanche, did not have that continuation to the downside from the break of this rising wedge, but kind of just pretty much stabilized here, and now it's trying to form that bottoming structure, an Adam and Eve bottom. Beautiful double bottom structure potentially forming here. And similar to Avalanche, you're going to look to check out, to have price check the bottom of this rising structure as resistance, as a zone of activity, and that will come around to being the price of, depending on how quickly it rises or slowly. You can see $55. If it came up really fast, you're talking about $50. If it came up much slower, you're talking about $55 to $56. So this, again, a lot of potential bullish activity here. And in my opinion, if we do start taking out these high pivots, what you're going to see is a bullish retracement back, and then potentially move higher to fill out this displacement here, to go towards the 75s and the 80s. So that's kind of my thought process, where we could be seeing an extended move higher, and that would coincide with what we're seeing out of the dollar, right? So we potentially have some bullish activity in the next coming weeks, guys. So it's been a hard road for many people, but you may have a glimpse of some green days in front of you. All right, so let's take a look at BNB next. Okay, and so BNB, as you can see, is actually having a pretty nice structure being formed. So I've mentioned in a couple other recaps, now that we're looking at BNB, we have a pretty nice bullish structure in a vacuum. We do want to be wary about what Bitcoin's doing, but if Bitcoin's playing out what I think it's playing out, being that double bottom structure, that BNB can possibly see a very nice rise higher. So it's one of the longs I'm very interested in seeing play out. I want to give it as much room as I possibly can to potentially tag some of the higher levels of mine. So as of right now, my conservative target for BNB is around 300 to 297, and then we have a minor target towards 311, and then I do see the high side liquidity levels here being taken out, so we can go anywhere from 350. But honestly, BNB is gorgeous. I do think, as you know, just looking at it technically, we can see 385 to almost 400 bucks. So I really like what I'm seeing out of BNB. I like that it broke its long-term descending trend line from the all-time high, held it bullish over, you know, months, and then found a major bottoming structure and bottoming consolidation at major support levels here, and then had that continuation higher, and almost had a full 100% retracement higher from the low. So I really like what I'm seeing, and then this price action is very bullish in my opinion. How it's being formed here, this bullish consolidation looks very flaggy from this rise here. So I am seeing upside, and I am targeting towards this level here at 330 to 350 for our long personally, because where we got in, that would be wonderful gains. I'm not gonna get too greedy, because I have to respect that, you know, in the larger macro trends we are to the downside, not just in crypto but also in the equities. So I want to make sure that I don't get too greedy, but I am seeing, you know, this structure tends to break out even higher, and I am looking towards the 400s. And honestly, that's where I would like to look to start building out a short position in Binance. So if you're, you know, if you're a member, you're following the swing trades, and you're in Binance, well, you know, we already are well in the green, but be ready for, you know, potentially these levels up here getting you know, hit, and then that's where I'll be looking to take our, you know, take some profits. But if we do start breaking up higher, especially aggressively, I will be looking to go short around these levels. Ideally towards 426 and 460. That would be ideal, but you know, we can't say it's going to get all the way up there without seeing price action get there first. So we'll roadmap as we get closer to those levels potentially. Okay, and if it should break down, then I have it here 222, 211. This level, this zone should hold decently enough, and if it does break down from here, it's very likely that it'll start a pretty long consolidation here, but will eventually break down towards the 150 level, okay? Because they'll grab the liquidity under this low pivot at 183.40. All right, so let's go on to EOS. So EOS is one of the newer longs I took. Again, you know, I like what I'm seeing. Had a pretty aggressive sell-off after a beautiful rise, and I like the retracement so far. It's at a, you know, minor support level right at 115 to 118. So this zone here, and if it does break lower, we have 106, and then, you know, this you know, price action, this consolidation down here will act as activity levels here. But in the end, I do see a move right back towards 142 and potentially even higher, you know, going towards 198. I do see going higher if we have a deeper retracement coming towards about $1. Okay, if we get back to $1 and then hold that level, then look for a higher move going towards almost $2, and potentially even higher, going towards 220, 250, to take out all the high side liquidity here and start, you know, attacking the displacements up here. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm eyeing. I'm not targeting these levels. They're it's gonna be quite a while, I would think. So I don't want to be in the trade that long, and as you know, some of my trades can last a long time. And so I like to look when I'm in long trades, you know, that have been lasting long times. I do look for supplemental trades while I'm in them to help mitigate any losses I might be in as I'm holding those unrealized losses, or if I'm just looking to, you know, just add on alpha to the portfolio as I'm waiting on the larger moves. And I do want to give BNB as much room as I can. So that's one of the reasons why I do want to look for shorter trades that have high probabilities of success, so I can give you know, the principal I put in BNB as much time as possible, because I would love to start targeting these upper levels here rather than just these conservative levels here. But that's the essence of swing trading, guys. You have to understand, you know, time is very important, and it's not always about getting it, you know, having the faster trade. Sometimes it's okay to let trades last months if you're going to have supplemental trades while that's happening that will take care of the time loss. Like for Bitcoin, for example, if you're in the group, you know I've been long Bitcoin for months, absolute months, and I'm totally fine with that, because while that's been happening, we've been making 20, 30, 40% off of some of these altcoins. So it's been supplementing the, you know, time lost. It's been supplementing the unrealized gains, the unrealized losses, I should say. And it's also been slowly decreasing the risk of this trade, because our account has been growing as we've been holding the, you know, the trade open. And that's how, you know, that's how you swing trade successfully. You have to be able to do that. because you're not going to have, when you're swing trading, you're going to have times where you get caught in consolidations, and it's not correct to close out in consolidations when you're swing trading. When you're scalping or day trading, sure, but when you're swing trading, no, because you're looking for anywhere from 1 to 3 month trades, and you're not looking for 1, 2, 3% moves. You're looking for 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50% moves, and with that will come consolidations, and that's totally fine. It's part of the game. All right, and that's where you have to make sure you understand your risk management, but most importantly your weight per position. All right, so make sure if you're in the Discord and I post a trade and you're following it, always look for what risk am I using. Am I doing risk 1% or risk 2%? That is defining how much confidence I have in the trade performing sooner or slower, potentially. Okay. All right, so EOS, yeah, as I said, like what I'm seeing, I do see it again trying to attempt to spring higher from here. We may have a little bit more downside towards the dollar, which is totally fine. I will be looking to add on around that level for the long, but I do see a larger move higher if that level should hold. All right, and if it shouldn't hold, then look for this price activity to hold overall as support. It will take some time for this to break, unless Bitcoin, of course, leads the charge. And if that happens, then we're going to be looking towards a move back down towards 80 cents and then eventually towards 75 to 66 cents. And that zone will hold at least for a time, and then we'll probably get a retracement back towards 80 to 88 cents. Okay. And again, we'll add on as time goes on. So if you're in this trade with me, just make sure you have the alerts so you know when I add on and when I'm taking profits and so forth. All right, so MATIC is our short position, and again, it's when I'm mapping out to build the short position over time. I went over in last recap. I don't like this price activity personally. I don't have much confidence in what I'm seeing. It did have a nice rise, similar to Bitcoin and a Binance coin, but I don't like the price activity in this section here. I don't really feel the resolve. I don't see the resolve in the price action for it to go higher. It may, and if it does, I have the levels that I want to add on to the short. That's not a problem at all. But I am more confident that we're probably going to make our way down to at least this level here. But in my opinion, probably towards these low minor pivot levels down here to eat this liquidity. All right. And if Bitcoin does have, let's say doesn't have that bullish strength and it starts breaking bearish, then you're going to see the liquidity down here get taken out. And that would be, that would be a very nice place to close a short, though I am targeting this zone around here to look to close the shorts. Okay. And if it should break higher, then, as I add on, obviously our average entry will rise. And if all the average entries, get filled, then my average entry is going to be around these top pivot levels here, and then I'll be targeting anywhere from this low pivot liquidity and probably this low pivot liquidity, so back towards this level at 62, right? 62.2. That would be the level I'd be targeting, which it's probably likely going to happen if we're going to break out through this level. It's going to take a lot for us to break past $1.30 for sure. Okay, and that's actually all that I'm in, and we'll take a quick look at XRP, see what's going on there. So XRP is doing kind of what I said it was going to do. If it was going to slow down, it was going to do one of two things. Steep retracement back to this zone, and probably back all the way down here towards 40 cents, which is still bullish, by the way, from this price activity. It's still bullish as long as it holds that level. We don't see much bullish consolidation at all, though. So there's no slowdown here. We've had surges down, but this candle today, depending on how it closes on the daily, could lead to a consolidation and potentially bullish. Okay, and if that happens, then look for at least a move right back towards 50 cents. And if it's going to have any follow through or break through that, if not, then it'll start consolidating all throughout here, kind of like this. Okay, and eventually there will be a decision made, and that decision will probably be made by Bitcoin. Right, so if it breaks up higher, then it'll break up higher, break up lower, break up lower. So whatever Bitcoin says it will do, if this is how it gets built, if it comes back to this level, holds it, and starts building out to the upside, I actually think XRP is going to have a lot of relative strength and will likely make it all the way towards this red box up here, which is around 60 cents. Right, so we could say 65 to 60 cents is this red box, and That's going to be, this box is going to be a big challenge, right? This box is going to be a big challenge. If it does get through here, look for a move going towards anywhere from 70 cents to all the way up towards 76 cents, and then a pullback all the way back towards 60 cents, 65 cents. Okay, so we have some potential big moves coming for XRP, but there's going to be a lot of waves up and down on it for sure. And I think that's all I want to go over. Yeah, that's all I'm going to go over for today. All right, everyone. So, if you have any questions, just remember, just DM me on Discord, or just ask the question on the Discord. That's fine as well. If you have any questions about the services, you could obviously reach out to me. But a lot of that information is going to be on the Patreon, in the Discord as well. If you want that link to that information, just check the link in the description of this video. Sorry, I'm like so super cotton mouthed. I haven't drank anything, so I'm barely talking. But yeah, again, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. And if you're not in the Discord, hop on in. We have a cool couple people in there, I dare say so. And I try to be as active as I can. I tend to do some live trading here and there. Sometimes I'll just do market watch days, and we'll just listen to live streams, or we'll look at the markets and charts. But I do always try to day trade when I go live, just so if someone's there and they're looking for a trade, I try to provide something. But I never force trades, so you're not going to get a lot of day trading out of me. And I'm mostly a swing trader anyway. Okay? All right, everyone. Remember, be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.